What up, sports fans? It's your boy HipHoppa. That's right, I'm back. Momentarily, I must add. So, this isn't exactly going to be a triumphal return that you had all maybe wanted or expected. It's going to be more of a goodbye, I'm afraid. But hear me out, okay? I should have made this video like months ago, and I apologize for that. But I don't know. It's been a weird ride. It really has. Been a weird few months, and been reevaluating a lot of my priorities and such. So, but to understand where I'm at, you need to understand where I've come from. Okay, where I've been. So, and by the way, I'm gonna have a little something for all you Idol Heroes fans as well at the end of this, so stay tuned for that, or fast forward if you so desire. Anyway, yeah, so I started playing Urban Rivals back in 06. I think it was the fall of 06. No, I can't remember. I think it was summer of 06. Anyway, I remember Tessa had just become CR. And I remember all the New Blood packs. New Bloods were just completely filled with Skeels. Like, I guess Skeels had come out recently, and so like it was wall to wall Skeels. And this was before, back then they would just release 4 Skeels for like forever. It seemed like. So excuse me. So. And I wasn't into Skeels back then, so I was just like, I'd look at New Blood Blacks and be like, I don't want Skeels, this is lame. Now they kind of taper it, so they do, I think, 4 of the new clan, 4 of the new clan, and then they start to taper it like 2 and 2 and 2 and 2, so that it doesn't like fill up like that anymore. But that's how it was back then. And I honestly, I was looking for a game. Oddly enough, I was looking for a Magic the Gathering type game, is what I was looking for. And Urban Rivals really isn't very Magic the Gathering-esque, honestly, but it's what I found. If you're looking for a good Magic the Gathering type game, by the way, check out Cards and Castles. That's a good one. Very, very Magic the Gathering-esque. I love it. I'm on there. Currently, I am Frank Castle on there. If you ever play, if you want to check it out, if you run into me, I'm Frank Castle. Because Frank Castle's the Punisher, but it's Cards and Castles, so Frank Castle. Anyway, yeah. So I looked up. So I started looking up. I guess I didn't click on a banner. But I remember seeing those banners all the time, and I'm like, oh yeah, there was that game like Urban Rivals, and so I just searched it and found the website and signed up, and started playing. My name originally was Crotch Grabba. Yeah, actually, yeah, it was Crotch Grabba. Like Crotch Grabba. Anyway, but. That was my name at the time, and then like as soon as I reached level 15, I think it was level 15, you could form your own guild at that point, and I was like, yeah, like when I jump into a game, I go like all in, right? When I jump into anything, I go all in, right? I just want to like experience the whole thing, so I'm like, yeah, I'll create a guild, sure, why not? Created Hip Hop Messiahs, and at that point, I was kind of like, well, maybe I need a little bit more respectable name if I'm going to be a guild leader, right? So that's when I adopted HipHoppa, and my avatar originally was me in this get-up, but that's another story. Actually, we have to go back a little further to like 2000. Okay, like year 2000. I was working at this advertising agency, and we had this party where you'd get prizes if you did these skits or whatever for the party. So I was going to do this skit basically lip syncing to the Backstreet Boys. I Want It That Way, right? And so I that's when I conceived of this get up, and I was basically like trying to be AJ from the Backstreet Boys, right? And at that time, actually, I like wore my wife's panty. She had some white pantyhose, and I wore those on my head for for a do rag. Anyway, so yeah, so I lip synced to that, and then did this little comedy bit like after that, and whatever, and that was that, and you know, went on my way. A few years later, I was at another job, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna have a Halloween costume contest," and I'm like, "Whatever." And someone's like, "Oh, you have to join, Brandon. You have to join. It'll be awesome." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." Oh yeah, that's my real name, Brandon, by the way. Anyway, I let that slip. Anyway, so I like my anonymity, but anyway, um, so I'm like, well, I guess I could dress up like, in my little like Backstreet Boys AJ costume thing that I did, back a few years ago. So I threw that on, and they took a picture, for the, they took pictures of everyone's costumes or whatever, and that little picture is what I used as my avatar for quite a while, on Urban Rivals. And if you remember that avatar, if you looked really closely, I was holding like a number down here, like I was number 4 or something, for the costume contest. And so yeah, so that was my avatar basically, right? And honestly, your avatar, like your brand, people don't I don't people don't seem to understand this, but like your brand is important, right? Like your username, your avatar, like it's that's your image, man. That's your brand, and you got to stay on brand. These people that like change the username like every other day, or like they're changing their avatars up all the time. It's like people, that waters down your brand. Like, don't do that, okay? Don't do that. Um, so yeah, so I started out with that avatar, and then eventually I found that this little South Park avatar creator, excuse me, thingy, and I decided to make a South Park avatar of myself in looking like this, and that's my current avatar. I've had that ever since, and yeah, so that's kind of how that came about. And like I said, I created my guild, and I started grinding, and back then, like, and by grinding I mean like I was insane on this game. It was ridiculous. Like I would get up like an hour or two early every morning just so I could start playing, just so I could play an hour of EFC or ELO. It was ELO back then. Just so I could play an hour of ELO before I went to work. Like every morning, like clockwork, I would play an hour of ELO before I went to work. Then I'd go to work. Then throughout the day, at work, at home, wherever I was, I would log in for at least, I would log in every single, every other hour for daily tournaments. And I would at least play one game. I would log in sometime during the hour and play one game just to get my 50 cleanse, right? And so, and I would get like, what, I don't know how many DTs are in a day. I'd get like a couple hundred cleanse, 250 cleanse, something like that per day that way, which sounds ridiculous now. Now that everyone's like tossing around millions and billions of cleanse, which is ridiculous, and I'll get to that. But yeah, I mean, I was just like I was grinding 24/7 on this game, man, and and those cleanse, like that's how you got money back then. And then shortly after that, they introduced the mission system, which was cool because then I could, then that was another way to get cleanse and credits and things. So that was nice. but I still, but I was still like grinding. I was still doing the grind like crazy. Survivor, not so much. I've never been a big Survivor player, and I wonder if it's, I wonder if it's just because back, when I started, like you really couldn't, a new player couldn't really build a good Survivor deck, and so it was just DTs and EF and ELO, and so I just never really got into Survivor, and that's maybe something you devs can think about, because I just never got into Survivor because I couldn't make a deck immediately, right, for that mode. And I just got into the other modes and just kind of kept going with them. But anyway, so that's how I got into UR, and that was kind of my mode. Is like that's what actually kept me going. Now looking back, is that I felt like I had to grind to like keep up, And the funny thing is, when I started the game too, I was like, okay, I'm gonna hit a ceiling at some point, right? Like, and I'm gonna have to pay, like, to like, to keep going. Like, I'm gonna hit that ceiling anytime, and I never did, right? I never hit that ceiling, which is good, but I never hit the ceiling and just kept going, and the game. And honestly, like the game took up a lot of my life. I've been playing for 10 years. Well, it's probably like 11 or 12 now, honestly. And, honestly, I was addicted, okay? I was friggin' addicted to the game. And what kept me addicted was that grind, you know what I mean? It's like, I've got to keep up. I've got to keep going so I can get more cards and get more, missions done, and get more points and get more Clint's and get whatever, right? And there was always that goal, right? There was always those, there were like MTs that I was like, oh, or not. Well, they weren't MTs back then; they were CRs, right? But like there were always those pie in the sky things that were like, I got to get that, and so that always kept me going. I was always like. And actually, my goal originally in the game was just to get all the playable cards in the game, And so, and I think General, he was MT at that point. General MT was like kind of the last playable card that I didn't have, and that just kept me going. I'm like, I got to get my General MT one of these days, and. And so the funny thing is now, here I am. I've got, and I'm just reminded of another story, but I think I'm gonna have to do a bonus video for that story sometime because it's pretty cool. Has having to do with my sponsorships on Urban Rivals. But anyway, moving on. So. Fast forward to now, and it's like, as soon as I started spinning the wheel, it was like my reason for playing the game was gone. Honestly, it just went away overnight. It just like disappeared. I felt like, because you could spin the wheel, because I started spinning the wheel. And I got like everything I ever wanted in UR, right? All the stuff I'd been chasing forever, I just like got it, like instantaneously, on the wheel. I got my General MT, and then after that I was like, oh well, I can get all the rest of the CRs too. I may as well complete the collection. So I got all the CRs, I got my General MT, and that was it. You know what I mean? Like I was just like, why am I playing this game anymore? And of course, I mean, and I did attain supreme rank at one point, but that's fleeting. There's always more cards that come along that you're not gonna have, but I just as soon as I started spinning the wheel and doing black market missions, I resisted for a while, right? And because I just thought it's so stupid, it's ruining the economy, it's all this stuff, and it was. The market economy anyway. Now it's all about black missions or black market missions and the wheel. And when I finally gave into that and started doing that, I got all my cards. I got everything I needed. And at that point, I was like, there was no reason to play the game anymore. And that's the funny thing is like I realized that I really didn't miss the gameplay all that much. I was like, and that's the point kind of where I stopped making videos, because I wasn't playing the game anymore, and my desire to play the game was just gone, and because like there wasn't a goal anymore. Like playing the game modes now is ridiculous. Like I don't even play them. I mean, the rewards are pathetic, but it's not just about the rewards. I mean, I don't even play the game modes now for like black missions. I don't even do black missions. I'm just like, I don't even care. Like I can get everything I need. I can get everything I need from the wheel and BM, black market missions. So, and it was at that point that I was like, it's like when you're an addict and you're like, when you're like a drug addict or something. I've been an addict, by the way. And when you realize, when you have that moment of realization that you're just like, what am I doing? Like this is ridiculous. Like I had that moment for Urban Rivals, and it was just, I'm just sitting here spinning the wheel. I'm like, doink, 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 and it's like, what am I doing? Like, this is my game now. It's just spinning a stupid wheel. Like that's so dumb. Why am I doing this? And so I stopped. Okay, so I didn't do it anymore. And honestly, now I don't even spin the wheel. I spin the wheel maybe when there's a happy hour, and that's about it. Now, and just the stupid, never-ending hype train is ridiculous. It's like, you know what I mean? Like a couple weeks ago, we got Dark Morphin and Dark Scarlet, right? And like literally 2 weeks ago, okay? And now it's Torkamac and Dark what's his face? I don't even care. Like literally like every week or so we're getting like the new hyped card. And look at Dark Scarlet now, like she's down to like 1 billion clints, and she'll continue to drop. And you know what I mean? Think back to when El Dios was like the big hype card, right? And how much is he worth now? Like you can buy him, you can pick him up easily, or get him off the wheel or whatever. So you know what I mean? So it just like it's unsustainable to just keep this ridiculous hype train going. It's like Dark Morphin a couple weeks ago, like, oh my gosh, it's the big new card, and it's worth 4 billion clints or 5 billion clints or whatever, and oh gee, and now this week comes along and we do a black mission, and we get our Dark Morphin. It's like, oh, that was easy. I mean, so that's kind of where I'm at with the game. I'm just like, I don't care. And honestly, if a new player came along, here's my advice to new players. You might have to grind a few DTs or whatever for a while till you get some funds, but then just spin the wheel and do black market missions. That's it. That's the game now. And that's just lame. It's just not a game. And honestly, yeah, I could force myself to play, to get some content or whatever. Like, I don't think you guys want to watch me spin the wheel. I think that's boring as hell. It's boring as hell for me, let alone you guys watching it. And I could force myself to play games again, play matches for some content, but it's just, nah. I mean, honestly, you guys have maybe heard me say before too, when I started this channel, I got my first smartphone, right? And I was like, hey, I should start making some videos. And for practice, I just started doing Urban Rivals content. That was just for practice. That's not really what I wanted to do full time for this channel. Like, that's not what I wanted it to be necessarily. But that content got so popular that that I just was like, and honestly, it was fun. I really enjoyed playing those games and having you guys along for the ride and everything. It was fun. It was super fun, but largely unfulfilling. Like I don't want to be. I don't want to be. That's not what I want to be. I don't want this channel to be that necessarily. I don't want to be hyping somebody else's game. And oddly enough, I am your colonel. This is your colonel speaking for all of you idlers out there. If you care at all, I am the colonel. And the reason I never was on camera on my Idol Heroes videos is because basically, I mean, I didn't have a get-up basically to put on, and so I never appeared. I never had a costume. I like playing the characters, in my games, like HipHoppa, for example, for Urban Rivals. But but I liked being the colonel for my Idol Heroes content, and I never really wanted to do Idol Heroes content. But I thought, at the time I was watching. The way I came up with the character basically is I was watching a lot. I was following what's his name, Wrath of God. If you remember Wrath of God, that was my that was who I watched for Urban Rivals not Urban Rivals, Idol Heroes, to get my to figure out the game. And when I started doing my content, I was like, well, I'm doing this. I may as well film it, right? Just kind of like I did for Urban Rivals, and when I did that, I was basically just doing what Wrath of God was doing. So I was just basically copying. I wasn't copying his content. I was doing my own content, but it was the same. I was covering the same things he was doing in kind of the same way, covering the weekly events and all that, and so. I thought, well, how can I differentiate myself from Wrath of God? If I'm just going to be doing the same basic content, and I wasn't aware of MKX Jump or any of those guys, And at the time, I just thought I was just watching Wrath of God, and I was like, well, maybe if I throw on an accent, like a British accent, then that will differentiate myself from his content a little bit, So that's why I came up with the idea of the Colonel, and that's how I started that content. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I'm your Colonel. I'm HipHoppa, and I'm I'm the notorious BIV, man. That's me. And so here's my unmasking. Dun dun dun. Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do. What I'm gonna do with the channel. I mean, it's gonna be more of I'm gonna be doing more of the commentary type stuff that you've seen me do in the past. Commenting about movies and just maybe pop culture, politics, that kind of stuff. That's kind of what I've always wanted to do with the channel. But I always wanted to have like a partner. And I still don't have a partner. I tried doing some stuff with my wife. You saw some of that content, and that was fun. But but that's not really her thing. It's my thing, and she was just she was nice enough to do it with me. But I would really like to get a partner, because I like that. When I started this channel, I was watching a lot of God, I can't even think of their names now. Anyway, I was watching a lot of Anyway, it's these two girls that are a duo that they do this show. Oh my gosh, I can't Gabby and Allison are their names. Gabby and Allison, but I can't remember the name of the show. Anyway, they do a podcast now, so they don't even really do the videos anymore. But I was watching a lot of that, and I was like, that's a really cool idea, you know, like bouncing off each other. I love duos, you know. I just think they're more interesting than just having like a talking head like me just talking to you. But I haven't been able to find a, you know, like a partner yet. So, but I'll just keep doing, you know, my vlog type stuff for a while. Maybe I'll find a partner, maybe not. Maybe Hip Hoppa will come back, maybe not. You know, I do like the character, and honestly, the character is basically me. So, for the most part, but so maybe Hip Hoppa will be back. But for now, that's kind of where the channel is. That's where I'm at. And thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting the channel. You know, I honestly could have like done Urban Rivals content forever and probably gotten to 1,000 subscribers. You know, that was my goal, was to get to 1,000 subscribers and start, you know, being monetized. That's what you have to do to be monetized on YouTube. But you know, I've always been honest with you guys, okay? And I try to be honest with myself, you know, and I couldn't just keep doing that, you know, even to reach that subscriber goal and make money or whatever. It wasn't worth it to me. And so I appreciate all of you who have supported the channel, though. Like I said, I had a lot of fun with you guys. I enjoyed it. I've enjoyed everything I've done on the channel, and hopefully, you know, stick around. I'll keep, like I said, I'll keep doing my vlog stuff, and we'll see where the channel goes from here. But I love you guys. Thanks for listening, and I will see you all in the next video. Yeah.